Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Good morning, good people, and of course of this great nation called Nigeria. Thank you for joining us on Morning Spring today on Western Spring Television, your station of choice, where we say it as it is, and exactly this is what we do here at this time, saying it as it is, critiquing policies, having conversations, deep conversations about issues of public importance, speaking to critical stakeholders, and authentically informing you about the state of things. And exactly that's what's going to happen today again. We look at the headlines from major dailies in the nation, and of course we then get talking the other part of this program. Femi Ojo is my name. Very happy that you are there. By the way, what a day it was yesterday. Quite an eventful day, if you ask me. Talking about governance, talking about things that have affected people, especially the telecommunications sector. Over the weekend, I think it started from last week, telecoms company, began to, block people's lines, those lines, phone numbers rather, that have not been linked, according to them, with the NIN, that this is supposed to be the case. Some persons, many persons actually, were affected all through the weekend. And so you expect that yesterday, being the first working day of the week, will be so, eventful, and it was really. It lived up to that billing. Many telecommunications companies were besieged, from the yellow part to the green part to the red part. You know what I'm talking about already, and people vented their anger. You need to see sea of heads, lined up beyond the compound, of these companies to the major routes in almost every part of Nigeria, especially the major cities from Osogbo to Lagos, different parts of Lagos. And at some point it became wild, because I think people were agitated because they were locked out of the premises of those companies, and people, some felt embarrassed. How do you mean this is happening? Now you have cut us off, and then we are here to see correction to that, to have it fixed, and then you are locking us up in some places. Maybe they were not being attended to properly, or they were just left there under the sun. And in some part of, I think Ibadan or Lagos, the videos were online where, aggressors, I may call it, because they became aggressive. They tore some of the fans of these companies. By the way, that's very bad. We are not endorsing that. But then I think the venting, the anger, and of course, got people in government concerned. And towards the afternoon, a release was made by the NCC, that is the regulator, to say, telecom companies, please unbar everybody's line, unblock those lines, so that you give them more time to do this. And many persons are wondering, even if it's statutory, that those things should be done, even though you have given the, the yardstick and the room for people to do that, and some of them didn't do that, for different reasons, either for negligence, or the telecommunications company or the outlets were not really helpful, because that's the reason for so many persons to say, I went there today, I returned there tomorrow, and these things are not being fixed. I'd rather not go there again, until the big hammer went, on the lines of the people yesterday. And now the government is saying, okay, we have heard you. Please unbar these lines. And it got many people thinking, if actually you can do this, why make people to go through this rigor? By the way, we must put it there that I think some Nigerians are negligent. Whenever something comes up and it has to do with something statutory, go and register for this, go and register for that. The attitude of many of us, we have to tell ourselves the plain truth, that we will not do that. We'll be waiting for the deadline. These things never work most of the times. But, before I hit the brakes and go to the newspaper segment, many persons will say, okay, maybe it shows that the government are responsive. They are listening to the yearnings of the people. But with the current situation of the country, with the economy the way it is, with the, palpable anger and tension, protest on one side being planned, and many persons are raining on the protesters to give the government a chance. If the government have people who think for them, should they have allowed NCC to go ahead with the banning of those numbers, blocking of those numbers, especially with the palpable anger? And just yesterday, that was a working day, you already saw people being aggressive with the way things are in the country. And then you have to say, okay, let it stop. Must your people always go through things, pains before you appear to be, concerned about these issues? I think thinkers, government handlers need to do their workings and do things properly. Let them have thinkers. That's why I use that word, to know what will be the effect of this thing. Yes, there is a law, there is the 2-3 things that people must follow, but how does it apply? Are these things compulsory now? Must we do it now? We have quite an edgy people right now, and I'm not sure we should tip them over, for them to react in the way they will not react. This is not me condoning bad behavior, by the way, but I think the government needs to do better, and we, the people, need to do a lot more better as well. I'll take this break right now. When I return, we look through the newspapers, a lot of them, quite juicy, quite interesting. You don't want to miss any part of that. By the way, we learned the government, through the presidency, has just given the petroleum industry, especially Dangote Company, a leeway. You'll get to hear about everything in the headline segment. Still Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Stay with us. All right, thank you very much. I will be kicking the newspaper segment off with the Punch. The Punch. Hardship protest. Security agencies begin massive soldiers. Police deployment. Of course, you have it on your screen. Hardship protest. Security agencies begin massive soldiers and police deployment, with a rider that says MPF places operatives on red alert. NCOs fortifies custodial centers, that's correctional center, and NSCDC deploys 30,000 personnel. All right. And moving on, Tinubu means well. Let's give him time to rescue Nigeria. That's coming from the Minister of Interior. Of course, it's part of the cabinet, and you don't expect anything less from him. But the question people will ask Honorable Mr. Tunji Ojo, popularly called BTO, but Tunji Ojo, is how much time? Can you be categorical, with this prayer that you are praying the people to understand with the government and giving time? How much time do you need? Let it be categorical. Moving on. NRN linkage. NCC others same restoration as angry subscribers protest. I said that earlier. And Keyamo direct suspension of NAMA's 800% charge hike. It's a lot, really. PSC invites 10,000 new constables for training in August. PSC, that's Police Service Commission, invites 10,000 new constables for training August. And 32 arrested for attacking federal government inspection team. 32 arrested for attacking federal government inspection team. And this one says Abuja politicians fearing banditry, says Benue governor. Abuja politicians fearing banditry, says Benue governor. By the way, this is a governor of a state, executive governor, saying this, and you expect somebody of his stature or somebody that, with the kind of information that he gets every day to know what he's saying. But then many Nigerians might not really be surprised about this information. You know why? Or excited, rather. I think that's the right word. Excited. We've seen several persons, different governors in the past, talk about the source or the sponsors of terrorism and banditry in their state, and you now expect them to come out with information, categorical information, names, and then you now get to know that they wouldn't say anything. In fact, there was a governor I think in Zamfara or Imo, who even said, he gave a date to say, this is what I'm going to say. This, I know these people, and I'm going to tell, but your guess is as good as mine. I'm not sure it's enough for people in government to just throw out information without backing it up with evidence or giving this information to the people that will work with it, that will lead to prosecution of these criminally minded people and their sponsors in the country. The havoc that they wreak, it's unquantifiable. It's wickedness and it's evil. So Reverend Alia, I think should do better. He's the governor of Benue State. Moving on, top stream. Labour excited as Tinubu signs 70,000 naira minimum wage bill. So as it stands this morning, it is a law. It is in our constitution, and the minimum wage officially will henceforth be 70,000 naira. All right. And President orders naira crude sale. Marketers project price crash. Okay. I said that yesterday. The president has ordered that, petroleum crude be sold to Dangote Refinery Company and every other indigenous company that will come up in naira, no more in dollars. And maybe that one might help the situation. And we are already seeing the forecast of this particular effect, if actually it will be so. By the way, that will be all from the front page of the Punch. From the Punch, let me move to the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust newspaper for today. Daily Trust has boldly written, federal government to promoters, why you should shelve protest. That's coming from the Daily Trust. Federal government to promoters, why you should shelve protest. Right? With riders, like check through the riders, offers to sell 50 kg rice at 40,000 naira. Okay, maybe many persons might be, excited to say 50 kg bag of rice will be sold at 40,000 naira. How will this happen? Which agency will be selling? How will they conduct themselves so that it doesn't end up in death, needless death of people? We know what happened when the customs or the immigration, I think it was the customs, sold some measure of rice at the reduced price and people died. So we don't want any of that. Moving on, ask students to remain on campus. Okay. National Assembly convenes emergency sessions tomorrow. That's Wednesday. You say, why not today? If it's emergency, does anybody postpone what has to be emergency? An emergency should be immediate, by the way. But then they have their reasons. EFCC begins probe of sponsors. Someone might want to say, really? Probe of sponsors? All right. Tinubu signs minimum wage bill. Kidnappers of Sokoto district head, son, brother demand 1 billion naira ransom. And this gave credence to what I said earlier when Governor Alia was quoted to be saying, people in Abuja, he should be naming them. Make this information public. Let the security agents pick this intel up and then walk through and do the needful. Now we are hearing that in Sokoto, a district head, his son and his brother, the people who have abducted them are demanding for 1 billion naira. That's insane, if you ask me. Zenith Bank set to raise 290 billion naira capital. And bottom strip, Tinubu means well. Let's give him time to rescue Nigeria. Okay, that's coming from Tunji Ojo. And FEC approve sale of crude oil to Dangote, orders in naira. Okay, thousands of dollars flown out of Nigeria every hour. Who are these people? This coming from Interpol, International Police. Thousands of dollars flown out of Nigeria every hour. Subscribers besiege telecoms offices over bad lines. Okay, I think there is an update to that already. Those lines have been said to have been on bad, through the actions of the government. And the order they gave the NCC. The NCC spoke to the telecoms company to say, please immediately unbar these lines. The Nation newspaper is next. The Nation newspaper. Law compels all employers to pay 70,000 naira minimum wage. Law compels all employers to pay 70,000 naira minimum wage. I'm reading from The Nation. And presidency, or president rather, signs bill. TUC calls for just, fair, and consequential adjustment. That's the writer to that story. From The Nation, tight security in state. FCT over planned protest. Take that again. Tight security in state. FCT over planned protest. Okay. Igbo slams faceless protesters plotting to destabilize government. Again, Igbo slams faceless protesters plotting to destabilize the government. And bottom strip, CJN Ariwola bows out August 22. And 30 Nigerian pilgrims died during Hajj. All these I found on the front page of The Nation. And I take that again. 30 Nigerian pilgrims died during Hajj. That's a lot. 30 human lives lost, over pilgrimage, or, a sad incident or incidences that happened there. Okay. Moving on, NCC directs telcos to restore bad lines. All right, and 10,000 police recruits begin training August 10. And federal government okays sale of crude to Dangote, others in Naira. That is really interesting, and it looks like it is. It will be helpful because there have been forecasts of maybe we will get to see a crash in the price of a petroleum product, really. And you can see the picture in the center here has to do with number one, Mr. President signing that particular act into law. All right. And away from that, we'll move to the Vanguard newspaper. Hardship, Nigerians have right to peaceful protest. This coming from the presidency. Nigerians have a right to peaceful protest. And that is coming from the presidency, and with a lot of riders here as pro-government rallies rock Nigeria. It's interesting to say, to see that while some are planning to protest against government decisions and policy and its challenging outlook to the people, the ways affecting the people, there are some persons that protested against the protest, as well. Quite interesting, really, in Nigeria, protesting against a protest. So, interesting. As pro-government rallies rock Nigeria, and many persons have been saying, wait a minute, these people that all of a sudden they have come out to say no to protest, they are protesting to say no to protest, or they're on a rally. You have not really seen government security agencies come out to say the assembly as a possibility of being hijacked by hoodlums, because these are the issues. That's a protest, and we've not had that same protest was hijacked, or the government or the people in power or security agencies say these protests of yours, it has the possibility of being hijacked. They have done it yesterday. Nothing was hijacked. Everything was peaceful. But when it's the right of other people to say these policies of the government have been affecting us, and these and these and the things we don't want, all of a sudden you see intel, you see security statements being released. Is a lot in Nigeria. Moving on with those riders, federal government bids to placate youth to avert protest. Okay, an IGP summons Adegborua. All right, of course, is a learned Sikh, SAN for that matter. He will have his day with them. And right to peaceful protest, pillar of democratic governance, 36 CSOs, and no going back on Eagle Square usage. All right, protest campaigner tackles week here. The minister in charge of the FCT has come out to say, you have to apply to me. That's the way it is done officially, not on social media pages or posts. You have to apply officially and tell us the reason why you want to do this, and tell us how much you will pay, But I think the CSOs are not having it. The campaigners, rather, they are saying they are going to go ahead with the usage of the Eagle Square. And federal government direct varsity VCs to secure staff, students, and property. All right. We read earlier in one of those newspapers that it was said that the federal government have told students to please remain on campus. MBA urges dialogue, warns against anarchy. Moving on, losers in 2023 polls behind planned protest. That's coming from Akpabio, that's the Senate president. And Wike mobilizes stakeholders against protest in Abuja. How is that done? Really? FCT minister mobilizing stakeholders against protest. All right. Don't turn Southwest to theater of war. And all right, hardship will soon give way. That's coming from Southwest APC leaders. Hardship will soon give ways. Don't turn the Southwest to theater of war. And APC to organize counter rallies says it won't allow election losers to Tinubu. Interesting days ahead, really. Because when one side, just like I said earlier, I said we are going to protest against the policies and how those policies are affecting us, you know, policies of the government, by the way. And we are hearing that APC are saying they themselves are going to organize counter rallies. And then we are still talking about peace. We are still talking about, you know, having a nation. Wonder how that will work out. We won't allow election losers topple Tinubu. And Tinubu signed 70,000 naira minimum wage bill into law. And moving on, it is time to deal with criminality, restore peace in Northwest. Oh, finally, it is time. Interesting. That sounds like a good one from Governor Ubasani. Really, it is time to deal with criminality and restore peace in Northwest. Hardship. Igbo moves against nationwide protest. And on the sporting scene, the Tigers upset Australia in Paris Olympics basketball. I took that again. The Tigers upset Australia in Paris Olympics basketball. Quite a feat that was achieved. And many persons have been saying maybe it's the upset of the tournament so far with the Tigers of Nigeria. So kudos to the ladies for defeating the Australians, especially in that game of basketball. Top three as we coast home on this segment, barring of all lines heightens tension amid protest scare. I think there's an update to that. Tinubu directed NPCL to sell crude to Dangote, others in Naira. And gunmen abduct monarch, son, 5 others, kill customs officer in Sokoto and Kebbi. These are sad news, really. And finally, the humor part, Mr. and Mrs. I am tired of trying to feed this family with stipends. If nothing is done about it, we will all go hungry. That's coming from Mrs. And the response is, please don't start the hunger protest in this house. Okay, that's similitude, similar to what is being being planned rather by protesters. We will get to talk about this in the course of the program and about what is happening in Osun State. We're talking with civil society organization leader to tell us, how is it going to be in Osun State? What are the CSOs saying about this planned process? How has governance been? There have been development, from the national to the state. How is this affecting, or how is this affecting the state, of the living spring? All these and more we'll look into as time will permit us in the course of the program. It's the Morning Spring. Join us.